We are on the record. The time on the video monitors, 1:02 p.m. Here begins Volume 1, Video Number 1, in the deposition of William Gresser, in the matter of DBT Yuma LLC versus Yuma County Airport Authority, in the Superior Court of the State of Arizona, in and for the County of Yuma. Case number S1400CV2010-1309. Today's date is April 20th, 2012. Our court reporter is Jerry Koash. My name is John Bogus, certified videographer representing Koash & Koash. This video deposition is taking place at 268 South 1st Avenue, Yuma, Arizona 85364. Counsel, please identify yourselves and state whom you represent.
Carlos Gutierrez on behalf of the plaintiffs.
Mark Lieberman on behalf of the Yuma County Airport Authority.
Would the court reporter please swear in the witness?
Sir, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Please state your full name.
William Power Gresser,
And what is your address and how long have you lived there?
Yuma, Arizona 85367, and I've lived there since December of 2004, I think.
Where have you lived before that?
I lived in town in Yuma.
And before that, how long have you lived in Yuma?
I've lived in Yuma since 1989, and prior to that I lived in Phoenix. I lived in Scottsdale.
How long have you, well, first, can you summarize your education and work history?
I went to Niagara University, Niagara Falls, New York. I have a degree in education with a major in Romance languages. I worked for a very large multinational corporation, privately owned, family owned, that provides food service and gaming and entertainment facilities.
Was that right after college?
Yeah. During that time, when I was working for them, I had an opportunity to go to the Harvard Graduate School of Business, where I took an executive education course. It's about 3 months, I believe, and it's similar to an MBA, but it's not 2 years, and it's not a degree program, but it's along the lines of studying as you would for an MBA. Following, well, for that company, I was in Toronto, Canada, after getting out of the armed forces. And they transferred me to Arkansas in 1974. I lived in Arkansas from 74 to 80.
What branch were you in?
I was in the United States Army Infantry. In 1984, let's see, 75 to 84, I was in Canada. 84 to 90, we were in Arkansas. Am I giving the right dates? I think it's 74 to 80, we were in Arkansas. In 80, I came to Scottsdale. I was the president of American Greyhound Racing, which are the Greyhound racetracks, and also American Park and Swap, which is the flea markets that they had. And I left that company in 1989 to move to Yuma.
And what have you been doing since here in Yuma?
I own and operate with my wife a restaurant, Japanese fast food restaurant.
Is it just one restaurant?
Yes.
Do you do any type of real estate investing?
No.
What is your position on the board?
I am the past president, member of the board.
Currently, are you a member of the board?
Yes.
What is your position?
Past president. I'm a board member. Really, past president is not a named position. It's I just happen to be the past president. I'm a board member.
What are your responsibilities as a board member?
Well, the responsibilities of the board is to see that the airport is operated to the benefit of our aviation partners, civil aviation, the military, and commercial aviation, and perhaps more importantly, or as importantly, to the benefit of the community at large, because we are a very major utility, if you will, sort of, because we are the only airport, have the only commercial air service, we have the primary civilian air service or air facilities for civilian air, and of course we work with our partners who are the Marines in a very unique situation, which is a shared use airport where we use the runways and the taxiways that are provided by the Marines.
Does the board work closely with the officers of the Yuma County Airport Authority? And by officers, I mean the airport director, the CFO, people like that.
Yes.
Can you describe that interaction? How do you guys work together?
Well, I think the board sets policy, gives direction, approves major decisions, and expects the administration to do the day-to-day business operations.
And so who do you believe the board answers to?
Oh, yeah. Object to the form of the question. So I'll have objections, then
Fine.
you will answer.
Sure.
Who does the board answer to?
I would have to say the community at large.
I've put on the screen here CL00317. Can you describe what this is for me?
It's a copy of the meeting minutes for the regular Board of Directors meeting for October 2009.
And you were at this meeting, correct?
I was.
Do you recall this meeting?
I'd have to see the full.
Okay. This takes us to CL00324. And if you look under the header Action, second paragraph, there was a motion to authorize the president of the Yuma County Airport Authority to sign documents here with regards to the construction of Lux Air's lease. And then it says that the vote was unanimously approved. Do you recall this action that took place?
I recall the lot tie discussion, yeah.
Can you describe what this lot tie, what did it involve?
It's a real estate function. We have several parcels at the airport, and we try to tie them together. We just did another one very recently, so that if they are to be used, we don't have to go through that procedure. We have, it gives us something more to, if you will, to sell or to provide to a potential tenant.
When the board approved this development, did you believe that Lux Air was in good standing at the airport?
No.
Objection. Okay, so just give me 1 second to
Sorry,
pose an
I'm
objection,
sorry.
if I have one.
I'm sorry.
So my objection would have been to the form of the question. Now you can answer.
What was the answer?
Well, I believe by this time Lux Air had been given a notice, several notices of default.
Why would then the board be approving this development on October 13, 2009, if, as you say, some type of notice was provided?
As I stated, it's a normal real estate function. If Lux Air had cured their defaults, it would be ready for them to, it would be more ready, if you will, for them to move on to.
Does it make sense to you that the board would be approving development required in Lux Air's lease if Lux Air was in default on October 13, 2009?
Yes, because it's a normal function. It is not, one does not follow the other.
What do you mean?
It wasn't done for Lux Air, it was done for the airport. Lux Air would have benefited from that lot tie had they cured their deficiencies.
Didn't Lux Air need that lock tie in order to commence construction of the General Aviation Terminal?
I think you're asking the wrong person. You have to ask Lux Air. But from our standpoint, it would have made it easier for them if they were going to build. Sure, it'd be something that they would have had to do, but they couldn't do because they don't own the property. We have to do it. It's not something that they could do.
Was there any discussions in this October 13, 2009 meeting that you can recall about anything regarding Lux Air's financial obligations at the airport?
Not that I recall.
Because there's nothing in there in the minutes. If there were any concerns with regards to Lux Air's financial status, would you expect that that would have been discussed at this October 13, 2009
Objection
meeting?
to the form of the question. Go ahead.
You can answer.
Not necessarily.
And why
It
is
would
that?
not have been news if I think that the board was well aware of the deficiencies and of the overtures that have been made to help or to hope that they would cure those deficiencies.
How could anybody who doesn't know anything about the situation with Lux Air read the October 13, 2009 minutes and come to the impression that somehow Lux Air's lease was an issue with the airport? If you like, I can scroll down the minutes. That'll help.
How could they?
Sure.
It was not a topic, so I suppose
They could not.
not from those minutes.
Okay. I now have on the screen YCAA 000939. Can you please describe what this is?
Well, I'm not sure what it is. It's not marked. Is it a draft? I don't know what it is.
Yes, it's a draft. Can you describe what it is?
It's a draft of a strategy committee meeting from October the 20th, 2009.
And you were at this meeting, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
You see at the bottom there was Mr. Williams briefed questions with regards to Lux Air's failure to stay current on their rent, and then there's two options. Before this meeting took place, did you discuss with anybody anything about these options 1, options 2?
I do not recall.
Do you know who made the decision to have this meeting?
I do not recall.
Do you know why there's only 10 individuals that were present at this meeting?
I would assume because it's a strategy committee meeting.
Are there typically more than 10 people at the board meetings?
That's not a board meeting.
Are there,
That's a committee meeting.
okay, and on a strategy committee meeting, are there always these 10 individuals?
I can't answer that.
What were you told was the purpose of this meeting? Or what did you understand the purpose of this meeting to be?
The strategy committee meets and discusses items of interest on the airport and then makes recommendations
Who
but
makes that decision if it's an item of interest?
The chairman of the strategy committee, I would
And
assume.
who is that?
In this case, it would have been Mr. Modell, I believe, as president. I assume, I don't know, honestly, I take that back. I don't know the answer. I'm not sure who the chairman of the strategy committee was. I don't know.
How are you notified that this meeting is going to take place?
I don't recall.
How are you typically notified that there's going to be a strategy committee meeting?
Typically, probably now it would be by email, but I'm not sure back then how we did it.
When did you first become aware that the airport authority was going to have this vote on whether to, well, on what to do with Lux Air's lease?
Well, I don't think it says that.
Well, you see there it says our primary options include, and it's got option 1, can continue to apply pressure to Lux Air. Option 2, we can terminate the lease. And that's what's going to be discussed. When did you first become aware that this discussion would take place?
I don't recall.
Do you know what was the result of this meeting?
I believe that the,
Can you show the rest of the minute?
yeah, I think, yeah,
Sure.
there should have been,
Yeah, I can take, you can
Take
take a
your
look and
time.
then let me know. Yeah, let me know when you're ready.
is there a third page?
There is. And this is YCAA 000941.
And the next page, please.
This is YCAA 000942.
Okay. I'm not sure I understand the top line.
The question marks.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Gresser, you need to answer audibly, yes or no, instead of
I'm sorry. Yes, correct.
Well, what is your understanding of what the board decided to do here?
I believe that's not the board. It's a committee. I believe the committee decided to recommend to the executive committee that the staff take appropriate action.
And what action ultimately was taken?
Well, I think we'd have to go to the executive committee meeting.
Yeah, we just have that. Are you aware that eventually the airport terminated Lux Air's leases?
Oh, yes.
Do you know if anything happened negatively that would affect Lux Air's leases between October 13, 2009, where the board approved the lot tie and the sewer abandonment, and October 20, 2009, where the board or the committee voted to terminate Lux Air's lease?
I want to just say once again that the lot tie had nothing to do with Lux Air's lease. And I don't know the answer. You want to know what negative thing happened between that period of time and the time that we terminated?
Yes, did anything that you know of happen during that 1 week period?
I don't recall.
Did you speak to anyone following Lux Air's termination at the airport?
Objection, form of the question.
I don't recall.
Were any reasons given to you as far as why the Lux Air's leases were terminated?
Yes.
And what was that reason?
The failure to cure the deficiencies in their lease.
Now, you knew that throughout 2009, Lux Air was late on their rent payments.
Yes.
So why do you believe that this time, following this October 20th, 2009 meeting, Lux Air's lease was terminated?
Because they had received notice that if they didn't cure those deficiencies, it would be.
Why was it that Lux Air was not terminated prior to October 23rd, 2009?
We were anxious to have Lux Air on the airport. One or more of the board members, and I'm not quite sure who, were taken to the Lux Air facility in Glendale, came back with glowing reports. We had a presentation from Lux Air as to what they would do, what they planned to do, and so we were very anxious to have them as tenants. Unfortunately, they were not able to fulfill their contractual agreements and arrangements, but the reason, I guess, to answer your question is we kept trying to work with them to see if they could work it out. And it became pretty apparent that they were not going to be able to work it out.
If Lux Air was trying to continue working out a resolution with the airport during October 2009, do you think the airport had the authority to terminate Lux Air's lease?
Yes,
And why is that?
because they didn't cure those deficiencies.
Did you have any discussions with Mr. Williams as to, or prior to the October 20, 2009 meeting, as to his desire to have a vote on whether to terminate Lux Air's lease?
I do not recall, no.
Was the October 20, 2009 meeting the first time you learned that there was going to be a vote on whether to terminate Lux Air's lease?
I don't recall.
After the October 13, 2009 meeting where the board approved the development, do you believe Lux Air had the right to believe that it would be given a certain amount of time to build its general aviation terminal?
Objection, form of the question.
I can't answer that for them.
Does it make sense to you that the board would, a week later, decide to terminate the lease after approving the development?
Well, as I've stated, one does not follow the other.
Do you know if Lux Air reduced its fuel prices sometime during October 2009?
I believe they did.
And why do you believe that?
Well, because I'm not sure of the date, but I was told that they reduced the fuel prices.
And who told you that?
I would assume it was staff.
You're not sure exactly who told you that?
I would assume that it was Mr. Williams, but I don't know that for sure.
Did you have a conversation with Mr. Williams about that?
No.
All right, let me break and see if I have more.
We're
We're finished.
Carlos, are we done?
Okay.
Okay, I have no questions, thank you.
We are off the record. The time on the video monitor is 1:28 p.m. This concludes disc 1, and this concludes the deposition.